Hey, this is Captain Bonsai here today with the Canon EOS M6 Mark II using an aftermarket battery. So I'm curious to see how this does. Power 2000 LPE 17. I think this is the first battery that says it's fully compatible. It does work in the official charger. I tried it twice now and it definitely charged. The results may vary. Also, batteries buy it official, you know, most of the time. Couldn't even find an official battery. A lot of them were out of stock. So this, at least for the moment, I'll try it and use it and see. I do have one official LPE 17. I sold my other one when I sold the M5. So it's just irritating that the EFM cameras have a mix of different batteries. I got this for video, but I want to use it quite a bit for photos as well. This camera has an FV mode, which is new for the EFM lineup as far as I know. That allows you to quickly use automatic settings or adjust one single parameter. At least by default, this top dial allows you to switch between the different options in FV, and then you use the front dial to adjust that option. So if you want auto ISO or regular ISO, you go to the ISO setting and then adjust it, and they either say auto or whatever setting you're at, which is pretty decent how it works. This camera will definitely take some effort to figure out a good way to use it. This is a camera where you have to be very careful of touching things and changing settings accidentally. I don't know if it's my shirt or something, but the focus point's changing because I just have it against my chest. I think this camera would have done nicely with a joystick for adjusting autofocus point. It'd be a lot easier. Of course, it has the same mechanism to you press this side button by the grip, so it turns into a moving the focus point mode, and then you use this back dial D-pad thing to move it around, and it worked. It's just not ideal. Oh, camera keeps going to a quick standby mode. That's part of the thing that's confusing me. Another setting I need to change. I must have modified it. Oh, the wind. The wind keeps screwing me over. Of course, I could do super high shutter speeds, but one hand stuff here is not the easiest. The nice thing with this screen, of course, excluding the portrait stuff, which won't work, but you can go like that, or you can go like that. So vertical, downward, easier to see. This thing's taking photos by itself. Look at this. In this case, I'm going to turn off the touch screen so that I can use it without those hassles. At least now the touch screen's not going to go up when it touches my chest, which is weird. I don't know what is making it do that. So far this battery is working. It shows battery percentage, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's registering the true amount. At this point, I'm not sure how to reset settings to go back into auto when you're in program or the FV mode. Herp derp, I had of course auto ISO on, which explains why it was confusing. So if I just go into full manual, make sure the histogram is on in that case. If you're used to the M50, chances are it's going to take you some time to get used to this M6 Mark II. There's a lot more to it. Don't expect to just come in there and be perfect with it. So I get a lot of questions for the M50 that there's confusing things and they can't find such and such. When in doubt, always just reset the camera. Full setting reset. Go through everything. Look through the entire menu. Look through the manual. RTFM. Read the manual. Learn for yourself and be more confident. You're not going to screw the camera up. It's just changing settings. If it gets into a point that it's really confusing, just reset it. What I'm doing here with manual is not a true manual at the moment with the auto ISO. So I can adjust the shutter speed and aperture, but also when I half press, the ISO tells me what it's at. So in this case, it says ISO 400, which I would adjust the shutter speed maybe to, you know, lower that value. It's still ISO 100, but if I were to increase C1 to 200, no half press. Let's go to 500th of a second. Now we're at ISO 400. I have shutter speed on this, aperture on this. Back here is the ISO. And it's set to auto, but I can adjust it easily. Now it's back to auto. When I half press, it tells me what ISO it's going to use, 400. So in that case, that's based on exposure compensation. So if you were to change it from, I have it slightly lower than normal, so that the highlights can potentially be saved in some situations. But in this case, If I don't want to use ISO 400, I have to adjust shutter speed slower. Let's do 200, so now we're at 160 ISO. 1/100th of a second, ISO 100. A lot of nice spots with chunks, little highlights of light around. Been using the sunscreen that's pretty expensive for your face, and I just put it on my arms as well. The idea here with manual, if you do have all the settings being controlled, you got the histogram and the exposure preview or exposure simulation, what the Canon calls it, isn't something you want to rely on. It'll give you a general idea, but having the histogram on there is a good idea itself. So far the battery still says all bars. I don't think in the Canon cameras you can see a percentage value, at least this one. In the other EFM cameras, I could be wrong, but I haven't been able to find that setting. But I'm not really sure where I am, but usually with pads like this they end up connecting at some point. I mentioned this before, but with cameras, the rubber, all of that, you probably want to clean it off really well after something like this, because you have all those chemicals on your skin, especially the bug spray, but also even just the sunscreen. One thing that I do like about the 11 to 22 more than the kit lens is that you can focus closer at the wide angle than you can with this. One thing I never seem to take out is the polarizer. How the light hits the leaves, you get a lot of reflection, which cutting some of that out would be good. Oh, it's warm. The collared shirt is always good to block some of the light. My arms are probably gonna get wrecked. The M6 Mark II in 4K video mode with the kit lens, 15mm. I do have optical stabilization plus auto leveling on. 1/125th of a second shutter speed, f8, and auto ISO. Get an idea of what it looks like. See if I can actually pick up my face. Canon, oh there we go, it does not like glasses of any type. Now it's seeing my face. 4K, they pixel bin and do whatever else, so it's not the most amazing quality, but if it looks good, and it looks better than 1080p, I feel like that's a win. It's not going to be the most amazing, but it won't be, hopefully, super jello-y. Anyways, I'm Scott of Photography Bonsai. Hope you enjoyed the video with that M6 Mark II kit lens combination. Yeah, see ya.